Hey, it's Courtney Hager, your Dickinson College dietitian, coming here for another week of Dickinson Cooks Together. So, again, I just wanted to do this series to make sure we're all staying healthy and communal. And a way that I stay healthy and communal is to eat and cook with friends and family. So, today I thought we would up our game a little bit and do salmon as our dish that we're preparing. And I chose that because I talk to clients, students all the time who really enjoy salmon but are afraid to make it on their own. And I am going to tell you, like, it's more forgiving than you think. It takes a little bit of practice, but it's not as hard as you're making it out to be, I don't think. So let's join together, really look at that today, see if we are able to, get some of your fears out of here and really make you less fearful of salmon as a dish. I think you'll love it. So this one today is going to be served kind of over some Japanese noodles with some veggies. We're going to prepare it in a nice colorful way because, again, we eat with our eyes. We like to smell, we like to see, we like to use all of our senses when we are eating and sharing a meal together. Plus, the nutrients from all the food groups that we're getting all in one meal. So this is going to be super simple, but I'm going to switch over cameras so you can see. All right. So now you are looking at my stovetop. On my stovetop right now, I have my, the pan I'm using today is really just a non-stick pan. I'm using that because fish does stick, and I've tried using cast iron, and I'm sure that it can be done. I just find non-stick pan does a lot better for the fish not sticking. So we're gonna heat up our pan, and we're going to heat it on like medium high to a high level on our stovetop. And so you can do fish in a variety of ways. Honestly, in the oven is just as easy, if not easier, than doing it on the stovetop. But then you can't see what I'm doing, so I'm doing it on the stove today. So we're heating up our pan. And so if you've joined me before, you might have heard this little tip. One of the ways I know if my pan is at the right temperature is I'll splash a little bit of water and some fish fizzles. And so this isn't quite ready. Let me see if I can get it a little lighter under here. That's a weird reflection. We'll keep it the way it is. So our pan is heating. What I am using today is a wild caught salmon. This is actually just from Aldi's, and it comes in individual packages so it stays fresh longer. And we'll take that out of its packages. I already cut them open. And I'm making 2 pieces, so that would be enough to serve about two people. You can definitely expand this recipe to serve more people, but this is what I thought I'd demo for you, just a small meal for myself and one other person. All right. I think my pan is just about ready. All right, we're sizzling. So the first thing I'm going to do is use a tablespoon, maybe a little less, of oil. Using olive oil today. We're gonna stir that around in here. And so I am keeping a little bowl on my counter or on my stovetop so that I can put my dirty spoons in. If you're new to cooking, these are the things you learn over time. The mess contained. I love this series because it's good for folks who are new to cooking, and then, those of us that are not new to cooking, we're always up for some new inspiration. So my oil is heated up. I am really just going to put my salmon in frozen. So you may, if you are delving into the cooking world, you may read in recipes that you should thaw your meat or your fish. I'm just going straight from frozen, and I have found that that works just fine. So I'm going to put these in. You didn't see it, but I turned my stove down just a little. I want this like medium high, so on my like 8-point scale or 10-point scale on my stove, I'm at like a 6.5, where my stove heat is set right now. So I just want this salmon to start cooking up from the bottom in that oil. Oil, again, is considered a dry heat method. I'm going to add a little bit of salt and pepper, and this is just really, this is an optional step, and you'll find that most of the ingredients I add today, I'll give you an alternative, or I'll give you an optional, a cue that it's an optional step. I'm going to throw my bags away. So what I have found is, while oil is a dry cooking method, the salmon itself has a little bit of water in it. So I cover it, and it uses kind of a steaming method as well. You can see the steam accumulating under there. That kind of gives us a little bit of a moist cooking method. So we're using both dry and moist cooking methods. And so that will go for about 3 or 4 minutes. We'll check it at around 3 minutes, see where we're at. In the meantime, I'm going to start building my other elements of my plate, but I'm going to wash my hands because I just touched that raw fish. So when we handle raw meat, raw fish, we do want to keep our hands clean after touching it. We're all hyper aware of the cleanliness of hands these days, but I just wanted to mention that as a food safety effort on my part. So as my fish is steaming and cooking bottom up, I am going to start building the other elements of my dish. So I have already cooked up some soba noodles. If you are not familiar with soba noodles, they are a buckwheat, and these are combined with a regular wheat noodle. Buckwheat is actually not in the wheat family, despite its name. It's actually a seed, so it's ground up seed, which means these noodles are higher in protein than your usual spaghetti noodle. But frankly, the reason I like them is because they taste really good and they cook up a lot quicker than spaghetti. Not that spaghetti takes long, but these are like in a snap, they're done. I cooked this up in advance. Now, I will tell you, fun tip, if you are cooking these noodles, they cook really, really quick. Don't overcook or they'll fall apart. But also, they stick together. So I have already added a little bit of extra oil so they're not super sticky and weird for us today. You would normally do these Japanese noodles with a sauce, but I'm going to assume that some of the sauce from our salmon will kind of leak into this. We're going to do it in a bowl. And you're always welcome to add a little bit of extra oil of your choosing, olive oil. I sometimes will add extra vinegar, so like a rice vinegar or an apple cider vinegar. I'll add just a drop, a little bit, goes a long way. Or soy sauce, a couple drops of soy sauce. Kind of gives the noodles a great flavor. So I'm going to switch cameras again. We're going to add our noodles to the bowl. I'm using my hands. If you're cooking for someone, make sure your hands are super clean, or, you know, don't use your hands. Use tongs. Let's check on our fish. Oh, you're going to get a steam cloud. To check my fish, I actually have 2 different spatulas in my kitchen. One is more of this like soft, flexible. One is a little sturdier. I'm going to use the sturdier one for this particular dish. Now, if you only have soft, flexible, that'll work too. I found the sturdier, harder one tends to you can get under the fish a little easier and it's less, it breaks apart less. So, this is perfect actually. Guys, we did great. So I know that the fish is ready to flip when it doesn't resist my trying to get it off the pan. And so it resisted just a little, but I left just a little bit of that bottom layer in there. Not a big deal. It probably could have gone another couple seconds, but in the grand scheme, I think this is almost perfect. So I'm just going to flip onto that side that we salted and peppered. Now this is the bottom side. What I am going to do next is super important. I'm going to make my sauce that I'll add to it. I'm going to cover that up. Turn it down just a second. And actually, I'm going to add just a little bit of water to this. Okay. Our next step is the sauce. So in the sauce, I have a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. Again, you could totally use a rice wine vinegar, and that would be amazing. This just happened to be what I had in my cabinet. So I'm doing a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, a tablespoon of honey, and so my honey is a super dark honey. I got it locally, but any honey will do. I'm using a tablespoon of that. A tablespoon of water. So I have my little thing of water here that I keep tapping into. And then about a quarter tablespoon, you might want even less if you're not a spicy person, of red pepper flakes. Let me check my list to make sure I'm done. Honey, red pepper, cider vinegar, water. We did it. Okay. I'm going to whisk this just a little bit, just to get the honey mixed in with this cider vinegar. And then I am going to pour it over. So when I talk to groups about mindful eating, I talk about using all of our senses. So what does it taste like? What does it smell like? Right now I'm getting the sense of my honey, which has an amazing aroma. I'm getting the sense, a little bit of spice from the pepper. I'm also getting a little bit of tang from that vinegar. That's what my nose is getting right now. But I also talk to my groups about what does it sound like, and we joke when we do this activity with something like raisins or chocolate that you can't actually hear raisins or chocolate. But I always say, imagine when you're cooking and you get a pita or something where you hear it sizzle. I hear the sizzle right now. We got some good sizzling going on. This side's not going to take as long as the last side. The last side was about 3 or 4 minutes. This side is a lot quicker. And I'm making sure that the glaze, I'm trying my best to not get it to stick to the pan. This is cooking along. I hope you're amazed by how easy this is so far. While that's going another second or two, where am I going to go with my spatula? While that's cooking another minute or two, let's finish up our bowl over here. So far, we have our soba noodles. We are going to add a handful of spinach. My spinach comes in a container like this. Regular old grocery store spinach. I like the baby spinach just because it tends to be more, a better texture, softer, smaller. Not as big of a bite. I'm going to layer some spinach. Fun tip that I love is if you're not a declared salad person, kind of just doing the base of your meal as lettuce. It's not salad per se, it's just building a base. This is looking great. I think we're almost done. I also have, I'm adding to my dish today, edamame, and so edamame is soy. I bought it in a freezer bag called shelled, so it's removed from its shell. I'm gonna build my dish here, I'm making it pretty. This was in one of those steamer bags, super easy. Like, I'm big on, if I'm making something fancy, what are the steps that I can skimp on? This is ready to go. I'm gonna turn my stove off and dish this up. All right, are we ready? Grand finale. Let's see if I don't make a mess. Whew. Doesn't that look amazing? Oh my gosh, doesn't that look amazing? We have the caramelization of that honey because of the carbohydrate, the glucose in the honey, the sugars. We get that little bit of caramelization. Now, at the same time, it's caramelizing a little on my pan. So as soon as I get this other piece of fish, which I'm going to do right now, out of here, I'm going to fill my pan with water so it doesn't become a bear to clean. One moment. All right, the pan is in the sink because I don't want to have to scrub it. And it's easier if it's, if right away we can rinse some of that away. So I'm going to continue filling my container with a few more ingredients, and I'll flip back over to that screen. But the beauty of this is all of these ingredients that we're adding to the dish, I'm just showing you an example of a balanced meal, right? You can put in whatever vegetable you want, whatever grain and starch you want. I thought we would do the soba noodle because it's new to a lot of people. The ingredients I'm using are varied in color so we can have a little bit of visual appeal. And I'm actually going to, you saw me put that second piece of salmon into another glass dish. I'm going to probably build myself a second bowl that I can have as a separate meal. But I'm going to probably put salmon in one dish so I can reheat that in the microwave for I don't know, 30 seconds, a minute, and check the temperature. But I'm going to almost build myself another meal so that I can have that again at a later time. I am trying to move away from making leftovers or having leftovers at meals to I made extra, right? I made a double batch so that I can have another meal later, or share with a friend. So let me flip screens back. All right. To be careful of that burner, that is hot. So to my bowl, I'm going to add some colorful red peppers, or bell peppers are great for vitamin C. And they add a little bit of crunch and crisp to this dish. I have another color pepper, just, because that's what I had. And green onions. And so some of these ingredients you might be like, that is way too fancy for me. That's way beyond my novice cooking abilities. That's fine. Use the ingredients you like, ditch the others. If you need help and you're like, I like the major concept of this meal, but I don't know how to substitute, let me know and I'll show you how to substitute. I'll give you some tips for that because it's really, once you know how to cook, subbing ingredients based on what you have available is the best thing. Then you don't have to be going out and buying a little of this, a little of that every week. So, what else do I think that's what I had for this element of my meal. And then, finishing touches, I just have some sesame seeds that I toasted. The container that I bought were untoasted sesame seeds. So I just toasted them up in the toaster oven. You can totally eat them raw. And I did. When I was testing this recipe, I just did them raw. But I thought, for you guys, I would toast them. So I'm just going to add a little bit of that. Oh, my off-screen countertop is getting a little messy. We're gonna toss this on top. And again, this bowl is gonna be my like put it aside for later bowl. I'm gonna leave it at that, and all the other ingredients I'll add to a separate dish so that I can re-microwave this and everything else can stay cold. Actually, I'll probably add my edamame to this as well. That I want heated up. So that took us like less than 30 minutes. I did do some pre-chopping, but I also did a lot of talking. So it probably balances out. We have prepared this amazing looking meal, and if I'm cooking for just one person, I made a little extra for later. This is one of those dishes that you can impress someone, you know, if your parents are coming to visit, or, you know, a girlfriend or whoever. You can impress someone you love, or really just impress yourself and give yourself that self-love we all need right now. I think nutrition is a great way to love ourselves and love other people. I wanted to point out a couple of nutrition elements to this. We have our salmon, which has omega-3s. Omega-3s are really good for anti-inflammatory properties, heart health properties, anti-cancer properties. So there's a wealth of reasons, brain health, great reasons to use salmon in the diet. Our soy has really, our edamame has really great fermentable, not fermentable, that's not the word I meant, soluble fiber. Also great for gut health. We have a mix of carbs, fat, and protein. This is actually a super high protein dish between the fish, the edamame, and the noodles. These noodles do happen to have more protein, like I mentioned, than a typical pasta noodle. Plus, it looks amazing. How do we know if salmon is cooked and finished? We would, while it's still in the stove, probably not after we've already dished it up. We would just fork in a little bit and see that it crumbles. I'll lift this up. See that it flakes like that. If I dug in and it didn't really flake, if it kind of still was springy or mushy, I would know that it's not quite done cooking. We don't want to overcook salmon if we can help it, because it does get a little bit tough. So I think I'm gonna go here. I'll show you my face. I think I'm gonna go eat this lovely, lovely piece of art. And I can't wait. I hope you guys try this too. I hope that you're not as intimidated by cooking fish as maybe you once were. And I hope maybe you are starting to pick up that cooking is not nearly as intimidating as we make it out to be. It takes some trial and error. We're gonna make mistakes, but isn't that true of any new skill we try? Leave yourself plenty of time. Give yourself grace. If you want to use frozen or already pre-cut vegetables, like, please do it. It's not like no judgment at all. You're good. Try ingredients that are maybe store brand, less expensive if you're on a budget, which, you know, aren't we all on a budget? And cater this to what you actually like, what's in season, what's available. So if, you know, if there's a different veggie available and in season, go with that. If there is, you know, maybe you like wild rice, and wild rice would be great with this dish, maybe that's your starch. Play with it, do it different ways. And once you get started, you will not be able to stop making all these dishes once you have the basic skills down. There are so many things you can do. So I hope you enjoyed. I really hope someone out there tries this. I hope that someone who was afraid of making fish is going to go out there and try this, because this is so easy and so quick. All right. I will talk to you later. I am done with my planned series, but I'm going to really ponder if I can add a few more of these either this semester or maybe next semester. We'll see where this goes. So any comments or questions, shoot them to my email. Can't wait to talk to you soon. Bye.